Good evening, everyone. The House of Sultan and Sons Private Limited and methodAI extend a very warm welcome to all the participants of today's Artificial Intelligence webinar. It feels nice to have you all here, and we thank you for that. A bit about the House of Sultan first. Pioneers in the field of book publishing in post-independence India, we cater to students from pre-primary to university level, churning out over 600 regular titles, besides adding new ones to our stable year after year. Known for competently written, elegantly produced, and reasonably priced books, our publications are widely prescribed in reputed schools and colleges across the country, as well as in some neighboring nations. Our authors are distinguished academicians, professors, and educationists with vast experience and expertise. We are proud to be associated with them. Let me introduce you to the host of today's webinar, Dr. Sachin Gupta, author of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science textbooks for classes 9th and 10th. Dr. Gupta is Dean, Research and Innovation, Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Technology, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi. It's a matter of pride for us that Dr. Gupta's latest book on AI, Decoding Artificial Intelligence, has won the Outstanding Contribution to AI Literature Award recently. We congratulate him for this achievement. Besides, Dr. Gupta has also been HOD Computer Science Engineering and MCA Department, Dronacharya Group of Institutions, Deputy Director and Head, Computer Science Department, Chandraprabhu Jain College of Higher Studies, affiliated to GGSIPU, Delhi. With a teaching experience of over 22 years, which includes teaching undergraduate and postgraduate students and researchers, Dr. Gupta's academic pursuits have been fairly meritorious, winning him several awards, distinctions, scholarships, including the Certificate of Academic Excellence by GGSIP. Dr. Gupta has also contributed to various journals, conferences, and books for schools and higher education, both nationally and internationally. His achievements are truly commendable. I now request the man himself to take you through today's session. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that warm introduction. We are continuing with a long series of workshops on artificial intelligence for teachers. And by far, this one be amongst the most hard ones because CBSE just changed their curriculum a couple of days back. We all got a completely new, 3 units in class 9 are fresh. So while preparing supplementary material for the same, the idea was to, it is considered to be unit 2. So you would be reaching that point of teaching pretty soon. So we thought that it would be best if we can bring in data literacy to the sessions now. I have prepared some content. I believe majority of the people who have joined are computer science teachers. So please bear with me. Parts of the presentation would seem very, very basic because all of you must have already been working with computer science and data for very long. But I'm just trying to bring it in a way that it should be brought to the classroom for everyone. So that might actually be helpful. In case if there are some things that you want to later on ask or add, you can put your questions in the chat box and we'll be able to resolve them as far as possible. I hope I am audible, I am visible, and I am trying to share my screen. Is my screen visible, everyone?
Yes, you are.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll just look a quick view at the chat box. Fine, working fine. So we start with data literacy for now. Data literacy is the human element in data. That means how do we perceive, how do we understand, how do we take the data to be. I've just started, I'll start the presentation with a very small illustration for all of you, which you would be able to take down to your classroom. That for my students, when they are learning on a very basic fundamental level, I ask them a series of questions that you can bring to your classroom. That what is your favorite place? Which device do you use most often? What is your favorite activity? And likewise, these are the questions which they are very familiar with, which they'll be able to answer very comfortably. But at the same time, ask one or two in the classroom to keep a record that who responded, what was the response they gave, and you can make it three, you can make it four, you can make it five number of students that who are recording whatever the questions are, whatever the answers are. The chances are that you are going to get a lot of answers, certainly. But if there is three, four, or five number of students recording this data, they will be recording it in different ways. So the one person might want to make a table, the other person may simply keep noting down it in an unstructured manner. Somebody may have some basic structuring. So that would give you enough content which you can bring back to your classroom and show them that this particular part was structured. Somebody maintained a tabular data where there was every question, every student name. It was maintained in a very structured way. But for some other, it was not maintained in a structured way. So that is one exercise that I usually do at the beginning of my undergraduate teaching. That when we are dealing with data, that different people want to represent data differently, and that is happening all over the world. That your data may be images, your data may be graphics, your data may be multimedia like videos, audio. But if it is data that we want to learn from, we would certainly convert it to some format which is capable, which we are capable of actually processing. So majority of the time, the data would be converted into something numeric that we'll come to later on. Going into data literacy, uh, it's just the ability to read, analyze, and work with data. And eventually, we want everybody to be able to argue with data, that they should be able to give reasoning, but not just the reasoning, that this is something that you are reasoning. Do you have any data to prove it? Would you be able to supplement the answer that you are giving with data? So it's not just about the technical skills involved in handling data per se. So that part was data science, that I would be able to handle data. I would be able to process, pre-process data. I would be able to clean data. There are a lot of activities that happen. But when data literacy comes, this is actually essentially the science of how would you process data so that you would be able to argue with it. You would be able to tell others that my data speaks this. Whatever your arguments are, I have data to back upon whatever I am saying, and this is the data that actually is giving me the answer to the question that I am asking. So data literacy encompasses the skills and competencies which are essential for any individual to access data, interpret, critically assess it, manage, handle, ethically use. Ethics is one of the parts which we will find that will not be covered much, but this is something that we as teachers have an essential responsibility to bring to our classroom. So data literacy, uh, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, all of you have been teaching for so long, you would find that this term was not coming in picture much before 2015. So in 2015, what changed was that we suddenly started talking about big data. There was a lot of explosion of apps on your devices, then stories, reels, chats, emails, tweets. Data suddenly exploded. So from that explosion of data, that came one more thing in addition, besides the explosion, that we did not earlier had that abundance of data availability, which is now available. So from that data abundance came in another good thing happened, that artificial intelligence, which was previously uh, put to back burner because there was not enough data to train. That actually happened in 2000, early 2000. There was a lot of data now being available, and because of that availability, we could now create AI algorithms which were far better, more accurate, which were giving results, which were allowing people to reason out that yes, AI can survive, AI would survive. And the story from 2019 onward, 2020 onward, that you all are very familiar with, that AI is now becoming so popular that majority of the assignments which you are checking in your classroom, you would find them delving into the realms of something which is actually giving an idea that you are reading something generated by an AI, even in your assignment from students of class 8, class 9, class 10th, and so forth. So that part apart, there is a lot of misinformation also happening across the world, that people are going to send a WhatsApp forward without realizing that this is not correct. You are going to get some information being shared on your Instagram which you would not be able to justify that this information is correct or not. So data literacy is now a crucial skill set because our world is becoming information driven domain, and data aspects almost every part of your life. So if your Google Maps, for instance, tomorrow shows you that there is going to be traffic jam on the way to your work, and you start out late only to find that it was just a misinformation, that actually becomes a very big problem. That's a very small example of how do we work with our data. Or your calorie meter tells you that you have had a very less number of calories in eating, or your timetable or your Google Calendar shows you wrong entries in the uh, schedule. So there are a lot of things that may go wrong once our data-driven decisions actually go wrong. So that basically is about data literacy. So when you are going to teach in your classroom, you would have to actually talk about types of data, that is, whether it is quantitative versus qualitative. You would have to talk about data formats and the significance of data. So in the supplement that we are going to bring out, we have put in a lot of examples of where the data is being used in different industries, like in hospitals or in your day-to-day life or in your education. So that part we have covered there. But you'd be able to bring this out, that what is the significance of data in different contexts. Secondly, we would also have to identify which data is relevant in which situation. This I'll come with a small quiz immediately after this slide. That how do we understand the basics of where is the data being stored, how to interpret it. Then we are going to talk about data collection and management in this unit, which is going to say what are the different methods: primary data collection, secondary data collection, where are the sources of data, how do we collect data from them, how do we collect it ethically, and so forth. Then part of the chapter is about data processing and cleaning. Some part is about data analysis, but this just sets a foundation for the remaining new chapters to come in class 10th, 11th, and so forth. So the syllabus of class 9 changing automatically means that we are looking forward to some new content in class 10th also next year, and subsequently in class 11th and 12th also, that would be coming with a ripple effect from this. So one part they have added in class 9, that is introduction of statistics and probability. This was something that I was very keen on into bringing into the curriculum, that because otherwise, unless and until the students understand that machine learning and artificial intelligence has its foundation in the mathematical concepts of algebra, statistics, and probability, they would grow simply thinking that we can develop an algorithm without understanding those concepts. So that part was something which was lacking, and it's very welcome that CBSE has corrected that anomaly. They have brought in basics of stats, probability, and algebra in their curriculum. And the last part of it is ethical use of data. This we will discuss in detail in another session. for the time being, we'll straight or we'll actually remain the or stop the presentation on only one topic, focus it on that what tools are we going to bring to the classroom, what are the fundamentals that we are going to cover in the class, and the essentiality of this course towards critical thinking, towards telling the student that you should be able to evaluate your data source as correct or incorrect. You should be able to question your assumptions. What is the bias? Is there any bias present? Then try to solve a problem, communicate your data both verbally and non-verbally, visualize it, and bringing in some technical skills. So CBSE has also introduced one third of your unit is about Tableau, that how to create data visualizations using Tableau. So that part is practical, and hopefully not today, but we would be definitely working up a session in Tableau in the coming time. So this is for the audience to see. Can somebody please tell me, matlab, from your experience, what do you think A is, what do you think B is, what do you think D is? So what are these fields? What do you see when you look at this data? I just want the answers on the chat box. If you are okay. Good evening, Manoj. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. I am looking for some answers to, okay, from the audience. What do you think A stands for? What is the field A? Just about the A right now. Binti says the phone number. Subhashini says column A is phone number, mobile number. Jaya, column A is mobile number. Somebody said order ID. Okay, might be. Eating behavior, Subhashini, is it for A? No, I wouldn't take it. Okay. Column B is blood group. Binti says okay. Okay. Subhashini was for E. Okay, I'll ask for column B. What do you think column B is? Binti says it's a blood group. Column A, let us perceive that might be phone number. Column B, Subhashini says a blood group. Jaya says a grade. Good choice. Lakshmi, grade, Mukesh, blood group. Okay. So we have got two kinds of responses. This might be a blood group. This might be a grade. What does column B stands for? Now, yeah, I'm not asking C. C is definitely C is name. D is one is Jaya says the class. Subhashini says the class. Grade and section. So B is grade, fine. Class section. Class, fine. Oh, majority. The consensus is it's a class and section taken. E, the eating habit, fine. That was taken. Okay, what is I? I, Subhashini says percentage. Any other opinion about I? Percentage, good. I see a consensus. There is a percentage or aggregate, percentage or percentile, perfectly fine. City, H was city, taken. Stop. Stop responding. I'll just give you a next slide to think about. Now, this slide has some other additional information in the terms of what you see is context. Context says this is the phone number. A was phone number, majority of us got it correct. B was grade in the last class. 2 or 3 of you were correct. Name, class, favorite food, avatar, scholarship amount, hometown, percentage in last class. This is what we have conditioned to, because we think of everything in the term of teachers. This is some mental conditioning that helps us to see things in the perspective that we believe is the most correct, would be option. Okay. So from this group of people, it was the absolutely most close response to what the context would have been if this data, the previous data, was shown to a group of teachers and they were asked that what this data looks like to you. So you said phone number, you said grade, you said class and section, you said percentage, all of that matched. All of that matched. Kudos to every one of you. Now, what happens now? Let us go back to the context part again. And I am now looking at a different context. See, the context changes. I just changed the context only. The data is the same, exactly same. I said it's the booking ID. There is a blood group, the passenger name, the seat number, the in-flight order, photon ID, ticket cost, destination, and body temperature for COVID. Is this still data? Is it confusing? Is it something that, see, this is an activity which I would always do with my students to make them understand that data in itself is my volume. I hope I am audible to everyone else. Manoj has an issue with. Do I have an audio issue? Anyone else? No. Okay. Audible. I'll take it that you might have to adjust on your end. So this was the part which we were actually talking about, that no data without context is useful. So how do you convert your data into information is the first part. You have to give it context. Unless and until there is context in your data, you will not be able to tell that what does this data mean. That is the first and the fundamental part of our discourse. This you can bring to your classroom as an activity as well. Fine. The second part is that you would have to tell them about the types of data that we are looking at. So for phone number, it's all numeric. For ticket ID, booking ID, it's all numeric. But what we usually say, the data is qualitative or quantitative on the basis of the part that whether my data is numeric or non-numeric. That answer, that ambiguity will also need to be addressed at the level of a teacher. Okay. So what do you think when I am saying this data is phone number? Is it qualitative or is it quantitative? I need to have that again on the group chat. Is my phone number a qualitative data or quantitative data? I'm waiting for your responses. Preeti says quantitative. Lakshmi says quantitative. Pragati says qualitative. Go on. Your answer can be, see, this is something that even I am confused a lot of time about. I need to see how many people take in what. Archana says qualitative. Jaya qualitative. I have a fair share, a mix between qualitative and quantitative from those who are responding. Quantitative again, one more. Qualitative again, one more. YouTube says quantitative. Please do understand that if the data is supposed to be quantitative, do you add phone numbers? Would you be able to divide it or multiply it or do some mathematical processing with this? If not, by and large, this is qualitative. This is something which is going to give you information, but you cannot process that as a mathematical data. So this is supposed to be quantitative. No, this happens to be qualitative. Similarly, pin code, for instance, is qualitative. Booking ID is going to be qualitative. So unless and until we also associate that what is this data type associated and how do we understand that data type, this is again going to be a problem for us. So this being a percentage in the last class, body temperature, this is definitely a quantitative data because we can add, subtract, make some processing to this information. Cost is quantitative data. Destination is qualitative data. Then seat number is, again, if this was supposed to be quantitative because this contained numbers, what would this be? Seat number. Seat number would be, it can't be quantitative, it can't be qualitative because it has got both numbers and characters. But this is certainly qualitative data again. All right. Yes, this part I hope is clear. So what happens in data science is that we take in some data. Okay, the question comes, can I not find phone numbers that end with 0? We can find phone numbers that end with 0. Yes. But when we say about searching data, okay, your query is that if I am searching the phone numbers that end with a 0, then it should make it quantitative, right, Lakshmi? I hope I am admitting your question correctly. So if you are trying to run a query that actually says that I have to find a number that end with 0, you could have actually searched for a string that ends with A, or search for a string that ended with 0, or search for a text string that would end with anything. So what process in searching are you applying? That applies to qualitative data as well. You can search by character, you can search by number, you can search by anything. So that should be not a parameter to decide. Ideally, the parameter should be what type of operations are we going to perform on that data. I hope that answers your question. So moving on, that from raw data, we process it, we give it some context, we make it information, and from that comes actionable knowledge, which is a club of two things. That is, what capacity are we gathering the information in, what is our past experience, and based on these, we make a decision. So if this complete process is basically coming from data to information to knowledge and the decision making, you can say this process is a data-driven decision making process. All right, let's take it forward. So data is a value assigned to a thing, factual information or observation. Okay, thank you. It can be collected from various sources and presented in multiple forms like numbers, words, measurements, or images. And it represents the characteristics or attributes of something. So there can be a lot of things, lot of definitions, lot of information that we want to give about how to understand what data is. But all of these are necessary. So it can be factual information or observation. It can be a describing language, that how do I describe something, that this is a phone, this is a black phone, or this is a Samsung phone, or this is a phone which is having an Android. So how do I use word to describe something is also actually a form of data. Right. So that description talks about some observation, that description talks about some characteristic, that description talks about certain attributes also. That description also gives us insight with which we may form decisions or conclusions or anything. So data can be a single piece of information, but collected and analyzed, it can reveal patterns, trends, and associations, and that becomes information, later knowledge. So types of data can be quantitative, where it is numerical and can be measured and expressed in numbers. It's used to quantify the characteristics of a group or a set of entities. It can be used for statistical analysis and mathematical calculation. Can be discrete or continuous. That means it's whole number or not a whole number. That means it can have a fraction or it may be having no fraction. If it is having no fraction, it is discrete. You can't break the number of cars. You want to calculate the number of cars in a parking lot, that would be 2, 3, 5, 10, but can't be 10.2. So that is discrete data, countable, but specific values within a range. And continuous can be any value. So your temperature can be 98.6, 98.7, 98.785, and so forth. That is the so any measurement which is in a physical world is usually a continuous data like height, weight, temperature. They are the examples. I promised certain tools that what you can bring to your classroom. So the first that you can bring to your classroom is a Gapminder. Now, Gapminder is one tool which allows you to showcase to your student that how is data being analyzed, how people are taking data. It has a lot of charts that you would be able to see. So you want to give an example of a line chart, you want to give an example of a map, you want to give an example of the continuous theorems, and some of that. For all of these, there is a visualization which they can play. So when they see data happening visually and see how population was growing with the bubbles showing the size of the population, which can be from year onward, and then you can actually pick up country-wise, or you can choose instead of population, what is the child mortality, what is the daily income or GDP per capita, or a lot of other factors. So here you can choose to show them that this is how data looks like, how data presented information looks like. It's not just collected data, it is data which is, so you'd be able to see Gapminders. You can say slideshows for your presentations. You can find test questions on the basis of your presentations again with this tool. And this is something that I find very neat when we take it to the classroom. Okay, so we'll come to Gapminder again. You have this, I'll share the code, sorry, the link to Gapminder. So it is gapminder.org/tools. Right. This is the first tool that you can take away from the workshop, which you can bring to your classroom, which you can show to your student that this is how data works in action, how data gets converted into information, and how people are collecting it from all over the world. So the second type of data that we say, it's something which descriptive, it characterizes, but it does not measure attributes. So phone number is never measured, PIN code is never measured. Similarly, we can't apply any mathematical operations on the top of it. So that is qualitative despite being numerical. It is often collected through observations, interviews, and surveys. This we have brought in detail in the supplementary textbook. That not brought in out yet, soon to come. So it is often collected through different methods of collection. This we can divide into nominal or ordinal. This part, that how do you divide qualitative data into categories, this would be usually related with class 10th or onwards. But for the time being, for the teachers, we can understand that categories we do not have a natural order or ranking, like gender can be male or female, nationality can be any country, hair color can be any color, or eye color, where you can't say that eye color black is better than eye color brown, or there is no natural order or ranking. It's nominal. But if it is ordinal, like sizes being small, medium, or large, that is an ordinal data because there are categories, but the categories are ranked to a certain measure. So that is qualitative data that we are talking about. Let's take the data categories in primary or secondary. So if you are collecting data on your own, if data collected directly from source for a specific research purpose or project, that would be primary data. So the first part, the first slide, when I told you in the classroom, when you asked the student that what is your favorite food, what is the hobby, what is your weight, what is your height, you can make an example of a primary data within your classroom that if somebody is recording, if everybody is answering their answers. So you can find the average weight of all the students in your classroom, and that becomes an example of a primary data. So it is an information collected directly from the source for the purpose of a specific research purpose or project. So this is a classroom activity that you can bring for primary data. A secondary data is something where data is already existing, collected by someone else for a different purpose, but used by researchers for a new study. So Gapminder, which you saw, was secondary data. Somebody else collected it, somebody else was organizing it, somebody else was visualizing it. But if you want to train somebody on that, what is the demography or how is the per capita income changing over the lot of years, that becomes good. So secondary data is also useful at times. Sometimes we go into both categories. The data is primary and secondary both. Right. So that part is. The second tool which you may bring to your classroom is data.gov.in. This is for telling the students that where the secondary data coming from. So data.gov.in is the Indian government website which actually shows a lot of data sets in different domains. So they can be based on economy, education, environment, forest, science and technology. You may want to choose it as per the subject specific. If you want to relate it to sustainability, then you can bring them to environments and forest. For each of these, there would be a lot of data services. Here you can tell the students about that there is something called an API, which allows you to gather data from some website or download data from some website. There are visualizations also, there are infographics also, which you would be able to show them that is brought to their classroom. In addition, it also shows in a visualization of the day, which you would be able to bring to the classroom. That for today, I guess this would be on the top. So visualization of the day is this. If you open this, you would be able to tell them that statewide national highway length constructed by the NHAI during 23-24. We can open it in the visualization tool. I got something on. Okay. So this is your visualization tool where you would be able to show them. In the same time, you would be able to tell them that there are certain operations possible, visualization settings are feasible to change. The data is available in a tabular format also for this visualization, and it can be downloaded. If you see that it can be downloaded as an image, you want to embed the URL, you can share the data, or you can report a bug. This data is available with open development way. You can see the number of entries that you want to show your student. They can copy the data. They would be able to also see that there is a possibility of opening that into a spreadsheet which can be downloaded. So this is one instance of, you can tell them about that there are data officers which are managing the data of the government. So the data is available in a lot of format. You can tell them about XML, JSON, XLS, open data, and API. So this is the second tool that we want to take away from the presentation. Okay, let's go back to our. So our data can be structured or unstructured, where structured data is highly organized and formatted, that tabular data that we saw. Unstructured data is something which is not in a predefined manner. It's difficult to collect, process, and analyze. So you'd be able to show them examples of unstructured data in the form of text. That if somebody is telling you a lot of information in text, and there are a lot of numbers there, but that is not organized, so that data is very difficult to analyze. That is unstructured data. Then emails, social media posts, video, audio files, images, they are all examples of unstructured data. Then data can be time series data, which is cross-sectional, or panel data, or longitudinal data, as CBSE says. So if I am taking data from multiple subjects at a single point in time, it's cross-sectional. Like your voters survey, exit interviews are going to be very soon for the elections happening in India. So you can show them exit polls where that was cross-sectional data, or you want to show them time series by showing them all over how things are changing over a period of time. So for cross-sectional data, there is another tool that you can bring to your classroom. That is Google Trends. This we have covered in, so you would say trends.google.com. And this shows that how are people's searches trending. So what is trending currently over the world or in India? So this is the search trends happening in India right now. So Raghav Chadda is much in search because he has just returned back to India after a very long absence. Similarly, for each of them, there are reasons. In the explore section, you would be able to show them that what is happening in the past 12 months of a specific web search, right? So which search topics are rising, which search topic search queries are falling, or which are on the top, you'd be able to show this to them. On the home again, you would have a discover year in search. This you can take to your classroom and give them as an assignment that what happened in the year 2023, which were the major 5 news events which were maximum searched, then how to, what queries were searched on the how to, what people searched for near me, which sporting events got the maximum searches, and so forth. And if you want to change the year, just switch the year from 2023 to select a different year, and it would give you the year in search trends for. So this can be given to them as assignments as well. So this you would find as exercises in the supplementary book also. So this part done. You can tell the students about the formats of data which can be text-based like CSV, JSON, or XML. It can be binary like PDF, XLS. PDF or XLS can be in the tabular format also, that you would be able to tell, but binary, it's considered binary. Image format like JPG, PNG, or audio and video like MP3, MP4. After that comes database and big data formats, including SQL, MySQL, Oracle, and NoSQL databases. So this, how much you want to elaborate would be based on the interest of your classroom, that how many formats do they want to work with. Then comes in majority of the communication that we will have in our classrooms would be based on tables. So tabular data consists of rows and columns, where each column is an attribute and each row is a collection of all attributes related to one specific person or one specific subject that we are storing the data about. Correct. So this is some set of information that you can bring to your classroom. Variables would be categorical and numerical. Numerical can be divided into discrete and continuous, that you can tell. Nominal and ordinal, it would be covered later in class 10, but you can bring to your classroom without any problem. All right. I am not taking up Tableau today, but I want to still share something with you. So Tableau is available in two formats. One is public Tableau. This site is publicly available. You would not have to have a key. Anybody can use this. You just need to sign up for it. There would be visualization of the day where you can show your student that what is trending, how people are creating visualizations on Tableau. All right. This is one part of it. We will have a complete session on how to create visualizations on Tableau in the next coming up session. But I want to give something more to the teaching community here, that if you are having an official email account from the school, then you can actually go to see, you can request for a key for Tableau. So for this, you would need to see, just a minute. Okay, search for pricing in Tableau, and then look for education. Not here. Okay. Search for Tableau academic programs and click for free academic license. So it's on tableau.com/community/academic. Check for free academic license. You can get it for yourself. You can give it to your students as well. So but this requires for you to be verified. So you'd get Tableau for free for 1 year. And they have a pilot program these days where you can take up their learning courses also free of cost. So please explore this, because I already got a faculty license for Tableau. This is downloaded, installed on my machine. In addition, they gave me access to their training programs as well. So you just required to give them information about where you are working, what is your official email ID, uh, what is where can they find you on the institute website, and that should be enough. So I hope I have covered enough for today. Please let me know if there are any questions. Can I open the chat box now? Okay. Datawizcatalog.com I am definitely going to cover in the class next. Social mind, if you want to bring in social science subject to class 9 students, AI tools we have a separate discussion. Data literacy tools is definitely. Okay, Jyoti ma'am says please cover class 11 and 12 as well. I look forward to covering. We are still working on the 11th and 12th part. But give us a topic that this is something that we want to cover. We'll be very happy to take it up. Any queries from the questions today? Not on AI. AI tools, we will have certainly different database catalog. Please remind me, Pragya, before we start the next week's, next to next week when we'll cover database and Tableau both. I share with you my LinkedIn profile. You want a PPT? I will, certainly. If you would want to connect, you have my mail ID also. This would be Sachin.Gupta methodai.com. And this. So I have shared enough links with you. Database I am certainly going to take up in the next class. And please do give suggestions. You said tools. We have tools today. I'll open a poll before the next. No, I'm not opening a poll anytime now because I know that we have to cover database catalog and Tableau in the next week session. I hope there are no more queries. You want to get this PPT shared? Let me see. I created a presentation which was publicly shareable. So you have a public link for the presentation that you can use. Any other requests? Thank you so much for joining in the session today. We'll meet again with a fresh discussion. And in the meanwhile, we are trying to work hard on the supplementary part as well. Courtesy my publisher and editor, sir, Manmohan sir and Ashish ji. So I hope that is going to come out soon. Thank you so much for joining. I have to pick my daughter. Thank you.
Another
Manmohan sir,
very,
ठीक है तो.
yes, another very informative and interesting session, Dr. Gupta. Thank you. And thank you once again to all those who tuned in. More such sessions are in store for you. Do join. Thank you. Stay safe.